a video the other day about how Canada's housing costs have essentially skyrocketed to the degree that we have the highest average cost of a home in the entirety of the G7. And I mean, if you look at the graph, it's absolutely out of this world. But I got an awful lot of interesting comments on the video, including this one. I mean, read this. Predatory lending is going on. The bank approved a third $20,000 limit credit card for me, and I only make $60K. These are policy choices, okay? We have to look at these situations and understand that the people being affected the most is, well, all of us. I mean, you're not part of the ultra wealthy. If you're part of the ultra wealthy, you're not scrolling TikTok throughout the day trying to either alleviate or exacerbate your constant sense of impending doom. But these choices made by banks, signed off on by governments who are obviously, the ones who are actually supposed to be writing the laws that stop predatory lending from happening in the first place, their tacit agreement is to set up a system in which you have no opportunity to advance and every opportunity to become permanently poorer than you already are. We are the first generation here who, on average, have a standard of living that is lower than our parents. This is en masse, okay? This is happening all over the world. But right here in Canada, we are looking at the situation being this seemingly impossible real estate bubble. Signs of collapse seem to arise every year, as far as I can tell. I mean, I have been anticipating that something would finally just burst the dam for probably 20 years. And I was wrong over and over. Over a long enough timeline, obviously, eventually, I guess I'll be right. But the thing is, with every passing day, I start to wonder, am I right that it will eventually break, or am I actually wrong? And what's happening with policy is that they are totally ignoring market forces, and we're just living in a country that is maximizing monopoly, maximizing wealth inequality, with an end goal of making a country that is completely unlivable for anyone but the ultra wealthy. The vast majority of the southern United States will be uninhabitable, along with most of the equator, in about 10 years. So climate migration is going to be an enormous issue, and the farther north you are, the better off you're going to be, because you are going to be in a climate that presumably will have arable land. But if they're looking at calculations that are telling them that the situation will be that, yes, they will have arable land, but they will not have enough of it to feed everyone, especially if they want to maintain their diet of, going out to restaurants every night and being treated like kings, then what they're setting us up for is a period where the people are just going to be given the liberty to die. It's not even going to be work or starve. There won't be enough jobs because there won't be enough food. They're trying to automate everything at the same time while maintaining the idea that the only value that you have to the economy is your ability to contribute your labor. Like, where are we going with this? Right? What is the situation in 10 years' time? In 15? In 20? If these policymakers and their billionaire donors are all operating on some 2 decades long eugenics program for everyone who just hasn't been born with enough money in their genes, then we're not looking at a mass extinction event. We're looking at mass extermination. We are looking at policy choices that are actively exacerbating the problems in society that will lead to more human lives being ended from lack. Just from being deprived of the basics.
No, let we talk because real money fucking going missing and all we youths and them catching the mother cunt. So let we talk. How hard it is for a youth to go a course like myself, I doing rig mechanics and still have to work and still have to be on time for work and school. But them things struggling now and all they saying no in and eating large and lavish. One to the youths. But I now understand why a little boy got to go at the side of the shit and hustle, he had to hustle. Or a female had to do what she had to do to survive out here. Because they eating fucking large. You understand? Not even eating large, or they making the place hard and the place don't have to be hard. What you telling me? 1 million back pay when all they still fucking thieving? All they still thieving in Parliament, boy? 87,000 and all they still go and thief, all they still go and increase property tax. It is embedded, yes, but all they go and raise the percentage. You understand? For what? But all they worse than fucking Pharaoh, boy. I swear, all they worse than Pharaoh. All they running people out of this country. You understand? And it's all PNM supporters. Only a matter of time, all they fucking leader turn a dictator. I know. Whoever it is, they go turn a dictator instead of following Maduro. What really going on, boy? We youths and them struggling with the voice of the youths, boy. Let's time to talk, boy. With the voice of the youths. Boy, I fed up all you, boy. I real fed up all you.
I've worked in customer service for a very, very long time. And I'm going to tell you something that retail has taught me. Black Friday and the Christmas time is when businesses supposedly get back into the black and out of the red. What if we as a collective decided that, hey, things are too expensive right now, and we don't like the way these corporations that are ran by 3 major companies that own each other, we know who they are. At the bottom of every rabbit hole, there's always a black rock. What if we as a collective decided not to contribute to that? What if we as a collective decided that family coming together was the most important? What if we decided that these holidays were a time to unify and to be united in family and in love and not spend our money on frivolous crap that our kids are just going to open up, realize they don't want, and throw off to the side anyway? Let's not waste our money, and let's not contribute our money and our time to these corporations that do not care for us. Let's unify as a family and stop giving our money to corporations.
Somebody explain this to me. So I reserved 2 nights at a hotel, of which 2 nights were used. We checked in, let's say, on the 8th. We checked out on the 10th. For some reason, said hotel charged me for 3 nights. They sent me a folio saying that I had checked out on the 11th instead of the 10th. So I get on the phone, I call them, I'm like, hey, I think you guys made a mistake. Can you please refund me 1 night? 33% of the total charged, right? And they're like, oh, let me look into it, whatever, yeah. And so they're like, yeah, it was our mistake, we'll refund you. Well, it's like 3 days later and my card hasn't been refunded yet. And so I'm on the phone again with said hotel and I'm like, why haven't you refunded my card? And they're like, no, we've refunded. It will just take 5 to 10 business days to hit your card. Now, when I stayed there, that charge was automatic. Like, I checked out and I was charged immediately. Why does it take them 5 to 10 business days, literally 2 freaking weeks, for my card to be refunded for a mistake that they made? And they're not the only ones that do this. Like, they take advantage of playing with my money and not refunding me efficiently and on time and immediately to their benefit. Why do we tolerate this? And why this is even okay is beyond me.
We currently live in a world where people who make less than $45,000 a year cannot afford to eat at McDonald's. It is cheaper for people to eat at home than it is for them to eat at McDonald's. And it really feels like McDonald's has lost sight of who got them to where they are. I mean, personally, I don't eat McDonald's much anymore, but when I was in high school, McDonald's was like the one place that I could afford. When I was in college, when I was a new teacher and I needed comfort food, like that's what McDonald's was for. Now I'm trying to wrap my head around like McDonald's being too expensive. And it would be one thing if these price increases were a result of rising costs, but they're not. McDonald's is literally making billions in annual profits and seeing giant increases year over year. So this is just plain old corporate greed. And I could maybe understand it if they were really improving the quality of the food and making it healthier, but they're not. They're just charging $18 for Big Mac combos and $6 for an order of hash browns. Not because they have to, but just because they can. I'm not an expert on sales. I'm not an expert on marketing. I'm not really an expert on anything, but I think abandoning your core consumer is a mistake, because there are much higher quality, much more nutritious foods that people can get for $18. The appeal of McDonald's is that you can get something that tastes good for a reasonable price. I can get an order of 10 Xiaolong Bao from Din Tai Fung, which has a Michelin star in Taiwan, for less than the cost of a Big Mac meal. If I want the fast food experience, I can go get a whole order of chicken crispers with 2 sides from Chili's for less than a Big Mac meal. People eat McDonald's because they want affordable food that tastes good. People who can afford an $18 meal and choose McDonald's are doing it because they associate it with comfort food. It was there for them when they couldn't afford anything better, and so they might go and still get it, and maybe they'll pay $18 every now and then. But if people who make less than $45,000 a year can't afford your food in 2024, you are not building up your customer base for the future. So ultimately, McDonald's is going to lose all their customers over this. So I don't know, it seems like a big strategic miss to me.
When I say I ran to TikTok to hit record as soon as I saw this, I'm not kidding, because these are my least favorite policies in all of corporate. So he starts off by saying he's just learned that some employees have side hustle, which he's upset about because there are millions of merchants depending on them at every second, and they need to be running like a professional sports team. And I don't know about you guys, but I highly doubt they're being paid like professional sports players, and I definitely doubt they're being paid to be on call all of the time. And then this part almost makes sense. He encourages them to have a Shopify store, which makes sense. But then he talks about, but as you become successful, though, you should either quit or you need to hire help. You can't juggle both. And I want to be clear, I work in HR, so this part here is not surprising to me because it's pretty common that you have to disclose secondary employment just to make sure it's not a conflict of interest. Then he says making sure you're not committing to too big of a workload, which I understand, but the problem is a lot of these businesses are not paying their employees enough to give 100% of their attention to their full-time job. They have no other choice but to take on secondary employment. And then I hate this last sentence because, again, you don't get to dictate what they do in their time off. They don't owe it to Spotify to be on call to merchants and colleagues at all times. Anyways, now that I have a headache, be sure to follow along if you like watching corporations get called out for stupid decisions.
The greed in big corporate right now is absolutely out of control. When I saw this headline, I thought it had to be a joke. Check this out. Businesses are moving to 6-day work weeks. This is out of Newsweek, so it's not The Onion, it's not a Saturday Night Live skit. It literally is the way CEOs of some of these big companies are thinking, right? They're not satisfied with the return to the office mandates, right? They want more control, they want more productivity, they want more profits. It's profits over everything else right now. And if you needed a further example that these management teams, these CEOs are only focused on shareholder price and view employees just as wealth creation tools, this is a perfect example of this. I mean, I can't believe any companies actually would try this. I'm assuming they will because somebody's going to be desperate enough to do it. But which employees would actually sign up for this? I can't imagine there'd be very many to give up 6 out of 7 days for your employer. And I'm guessing these are the same companies that are not going to have work from home. These are going to be back to office, or maybe they'll give you Saturdays to work from office. It's, again, I thought this headline was ripped off of some satire place. But man, if Gen X didn't have enough dodgeball going on in corporate, right, between the ages and layoffs, lack of jobs, now they're going to push people back to the office for 6 days a week. I mean, I don't know where it's going to stop, but I can't believe this is going to work, right? They're going to just start handing, small and mid-sized companies the best employees, right? Because they are still people first. They're driving that way. Not all of them, but the majority of them are actually hiring as well. So you're further pushing that wedge between corporate and people first based companies. So again, if you're Gen X, you're still in corporate and you're thinking about the work week this week, you do have options. There's ways to monetize your corporate experience. I won't do it on this post, but follow me on TikTok for more, connect and follow with me on LinkedIn. And I do have a free starter kit for folks that want alternatives to corporate, but just don't know where to start. It's free. You can find it in my bio. Have a great week and good luck.
I want to talk a little bit about PTO and how companies use that to just abuse and manipulate employees. So our company had PTO last year. It's earned, based on hours worked. That makes sense. That's normal. And then towards the end of the year last year, we got told, oh, by the way, your PTO doesn't carry over. So everybody's scrambling to use their PTO at the last part of the year, of course, which is the busiest time, the holidays and such. And, okay, never mind, PTO will roll over. Okay, so people had some PTO that rolled over, and now we're getting the message like 2 months before the end of the year that PTO isn't, only half of your PTO will roll over. And there's no quantification about that. So it doesn't say like if you have 20 hours or more of PTO, only half of it will roll over. So basically, if I get to the end of the year and I have 2 hours of PTO, I'm only going to have 1 hour of PTO that rolls over on money, on time that I earned based on the hours that I've worked. So when you want to talk about corporate America that sucks and why the workers are uprising or trying to form unions,
you have to hear this. Uber's not just using surge pricing to charge riders inflated fares. They're also using secret algorithms to undercut your driver's pay. More Perfect Union conducted a test and found that 63% of the time, Uber offered different fares to drivers for the exact same ride. And this could vary from a few pennies to a couple dollars. But if you multiply that by the billions of trips made every quarter, that means Uber execs are pocketing millions of dollars instead of paying their drivers fair wages. And what makes this even more scary is that we don't know how exactly this invisible hand works. We do know it's influenced by a lot of factors, not just location and time. They could also use your demographics, your gender, age, even your ethnicity. If all that's true, this could mean wage discrimination, which is illegal.
Target, Walmart, and Amazon have all announced major price cuts moving forward, especially in the grocery sectors. And you all know exactly why that's happening. It's because we're not spending any money. But guess what? We don't have any money to spend. And they caused this situation, and now they're facing the consequences of the situation. And they fully expect that we're going to start spending money on bullshit again. And I don't think they understand that they literally trained us out of that behavior by raising prices so high that people found ways around shopping. They found ways around it. They're all hoping that by lowering costs on all these main items like bread, milk, diapers, that they're going to bring their profit margins back up to what they were before. And again, the fact that all of these places, Amazon, Target, Aldi, Walmart, they all have the ability to lower the cost because it never had anything to do with inflation or production costs. It was greed. End of story. So I hope that everyone really digests that and understands that we have always just been drained of our life force. They've always, all of these companies, all of corporate America, all of capitalism, the point is to drain you of your resources, not just your money, but also your life force, and then leave you with nothing in the end. Make sure that your kids have nothing in the end. So many people are not even able to own homes, and none of these businesses would have had any mercy on us unless we had gotten to this precipice where people are completely out of money. And still, they think that they're going to be okay. They think that they're not going to have to lower their prices back down to what they were before. But again, here's the thing. We have gone past the point of no return. The amount of debt in this country now is up into the trillions. People have their credit cards completely maxed out. So it's not like people are making a decision not to buy more groceries and not to buy more bullshit. They simply cannot. And so the major upside of this is we will get to watch a lot of these companies pay huge consequences for their greed.
Dude, I am so tired of capitalism. I am so over capital. It is exhausting. Everything is awful. Everything is a money grab. Everything is... I already never go to Fred Meyer because the price gouging is insane. And now, recently, they put in these little jails, when you go in or out of the store where there's these little gates that have to beep you open because theft is at an all-time... Shut the fuck up, Fred Meyer. You are price gouging, making it impossible for people to even afford food and necessities. When you're locking up, not even the expensive fancy stuff, you're locking up stuff that are essentials, things that typically often people in poverty need to buy, and you're locking it up. It's dehumanizing, and it's anyway, but they have these little gates, because God forbid somebody steal a shopping cart or something because they don't have a house and they need somewhere to put their few belongings in before they get swept in another police sweep of the homeless encampment. Like, shut the fuck up, Fred Meyer. And then on top of that, and this was the last string, I had to go get gas at Fred Meyer the other day because I wasn't paying enough attention, and then I didn't have enough to make it to the gas station that I do like. And not to mention that the rewards now, you used to be able to carry over your gas rewards, but now they all expire and you can only get a maximum of X amount. Anyway, I had a long day at work. I was socially drained. I just needed to get some expensive gas at Fred Meyer to get me through the day. And now they have a worker who goes around to people while they're pumping gas, trying to sell them a Fred Meyer credit card to get them an extra 55 cents off the gallon in gas. Are you fucking kidding me? Now you can't even get your gas in peace because they've got somebody coming up to you being like, oh, were you able to get a discount today? Oh, would you like to get another 55 cents off by signing up for our credit card? And I'm like, I'm not even mad at the worker because it's somebody who is older and they're probably at an age where maybe they'd love to retire, but I'm sure that they can't because no one can afford to retire. And I'm sure that if they don't make a certain amount of sales doing this job that is just harassing people, they're probably punished in some way, like that poor fucking worker. But also, poor us, because we're just trying to get gas, and now somebody's trying to sell us a credit card while we're pumping our gas? Are you kidding me? And it's everything. I mean, this is just a Fred Meyer specific rant, but it's everything. It's already paying for Amazon Prime and then being told, oh, sorry, now there's ads, but you can give us more money if you want to take away the things that weren't there before, but we just added on now. No problem. Give us more money if you want us to undo that. There's so many things, right? But this was a specific rant about, fuck you, Fred Meyer. Leave me alone while I'm pumping my gas. Oh my God. Encouraging people to take out more debt, to get further bogged down in the vicious cycle of debt. And also, if you can give me 55 cents off the gallon, then just give me 55 cents off the gallon. I thought that oil prices and gas prices were fixed and then nobody could control them and it was out of everybody's hands. But if I sign up for a Fred Meyer credit card, a Fred Meyer credit card, then all of a sudden gas prices are flexible? Fuck you, Kroger. And fuck you, late-stage capitalism. I'm so tired.
Housing is out of reach, wages aren't keeping up with corporate price gouging, everything is getting more expensive, childcare is more expensive, education is more expensive, but the geniuses at Economist have identified the real problem. You're getting paid too much. Despite, of course, the overwhelming evidence that up to 50% or more of the prices that we're seeing are just coming from corporate profits. That's right. During the pandemic era, they used it as an excuse to raise prices, blaming supply chain issues and labor issues. And when the crisis averted, the prices never came down because they got addicted to all that shareholder value they were making. And now what they want to do is say that, again, workers are the reason things are expensive, and if anything, you should get paid less. This is absurd. This is absurd.